Welcome to my channel. Simply Speak English. Are you tired of memorizing English words only to forget them the next day? You're not alone. Most people struggle with vocabulary because they try to learn it the wrong way, like a boring list of words with no real meaning. But what if I told you there's a way to never forget a word again? Imagine if learning English felt as natural as living your daily life, where every new word you learn is tied to a fun story, a real-life action, or even an emotion you feel deep inside. Sounds amazing, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Forget those old-school memorization tricks that don't work. Instead, we're going to make English part of your life in a way that sticks through engaging stories, actions, and emotions. This method isn't just more effective. It's fun, it's exciting, and best of all, it makes learning feel effortless. Think about it. Have you ever watched a hilarious movie and remembered a funny line word for word? Or maybe you've been in a really embarrassing situation and can still recall exactly what someone said to you. That's because stories, emotions, and actions lock words into your memory. So today, we're going to use this brain hack to help you master English like a pro. By the end of this video, you won't just know new words, you'll own them. They'll be part of your thinking, your speaking, and your daily life. So stick around, because you're about to experience a whole new way of learning English, one that actually works. Let's dive in. All right, let's dig deeper. Why do we forget English words so easily? It's frustrating, isn't it? You see a new word, you practice it, maybe even use it once or twice, but the moment you actually need it, boom, it's gone, like it was never there. You struggle, your mind goes blank, and instead of speaking confidently, you hesitate. But here's the thing. It's not your fault. It's not that you have a bad memory. And it's definitely not because you're bad at learning languages. The real problem? You've been taught to learn the wrong way. Think about it. How do most people try to learn vocabulary? They sit down with a list of words, repeat them a few times, maybe even write them down, hoping that somehow magically their brain will store all that information forever. But guess what? It doesn't work, because that's not how memory works. Your brain isn't a storage unit where you can just dump words and expect them to stay. It's more like a complex network of connections, emotions, and experiences. Your brain doesn't remember things because you forced it to. It remembers things because they meant something to you. Let's do a quick experiment. Close your eyes for a moment and think about the very first time you felt embarrassed. Maybe you tripped in front of a crowd. Maybe you called your teacher mom by accident. Whatever it was, I bet you remember the details, right? You remember exactly where you were, what you were wearing, maybe even the expressions on people's faces. That's because strong emotions create strong memories. Now, compare that to the last random English word you tried to memorize. Do you remember where you were when you learned it? What you were doing? How you felt? Probably not. Because when you learn without emotion, action, or personal connection, your brain simply doesn't care enough to keep the information. It sees it as disposable. But what if we change that? What if, instead of treating English words like boring data to store, we turn them into experiences? Let's take the word excited, for example. You could just read it in a book and say, excited means happy in a strong way. But will you remember it next week? Probably not. Now, what if I asked you to stand up right now, raise your hands in the air, and shout, "I'm so excited," while jumping like a kid who just won a prize? Guess what? That word is now locked into your memory. Because you didn't just read it, you felt it. Your body, your emotions, and your voice all work together to create a real experience. And that's the secret to remembering vocabulary. You don't just learn words, you live them. You connect them to stories, emotions, and physical actions. When you do that, they stop being just words and start becoming a part of who you are. So, from this moment on, forget about memorizing lists of words like a robot. Instead, get ready to experience English in a way that makes it impossible to forget. We're going to bring words to life one story at a time. Are you ready? Because once you start learning like this, you'll never go back. Let's do this. Now that we know why we forget words so easily, let's talk about how to never forget them again. The secret? Stories. Think about it. What's easier to remember? A list of random words or a funny, engaging story? Your brain is wired to remember narratives, emotions, and experiences, not just isolated facts. That's why you still recall childhood fairy tales, but probably don't remember last week's grocery list. So today, we're going to use mini stories to lock vocabulary into your memory forever. And trust me, once you try this, you'll never look at English the same way again. Let's start with our first story. Meet David. David is forgetful. He always misplaces things, from his keys to his wallet, and especially his phone. One day, he's at a cafe, enjoying his coffee and scrolling through social media. When he gets up to leave, he instinctively checks his pockets, but his phone is gone. His heart starts pounding. His hands get sweaty. He looks around, scanning the cafe in panic. He rushes back inside, asks the cashier, checks under the table. Nothing. A sinking feeling of hopelessness washes over him. What if someone stole it? What if he never finds it again? But then, just as he's about to give up, he hears a familiar sound. He turns around and sees a little boy holding up his phone. "Sir, is this yours?" the boy asks. Relief floods through David's body. He takes the phone, his face lighting up. He laughs nervously, feeling both embarrassed and incredibly happy. Now, let's break this story down into key words and how you can make them stick. The word forgetful is easy to remember if you visualize yourself scratching your head, looking confused, thinking, "Where did I put that?" For panic, picture your eyes widening, your breathing getting fast, frantically searching for something. And for relief, take a deep breath. Put your hand on your chest and exhale like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. Instead of just reading words from a vocabulary list, you're now associating them with images, actions, and emotions, making them unforgettable. Now, I want you to tell this story in your own words. You don't have to remember every single detail. Just use the three key words: forgetful, panic, and relief. Even better, act it out while you tell it. Scratch your head when you say forgetful. Open your eyes wide and breathe quickly when you say panic. And exhale deeply with a smile when you say relief. The more your body and emotions are involved, the stronger the memory becomes. Let's try another one. Meet Emma. Emma is about to go on her first date, and she feels nervous. Her hands are shaking, her heart is racing, and she keeps fixing her hair in the mirror. When she finally arrives at the restaurant, she takes a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Her date is already there, smiling, and for a moment, everything seems fine. Then, just as she reaches for her coffee, she knocks the cup over, spilling it all over her dress. A hush falls over the cafe, and suddenly everyone is looking at her. Her face turns red with embarrassment. She wishes she could disappear. But then, instead of making things worse, her date bursts into laughter. "Hey, don't worry. It happens," he says. Emma hesitates for a second, then laughs too. The awkwardness melts away, and suddenly she feels confident again. Again, don't just memorize the words from this story. Act them out. When saying nervous, imagine biting your nails or shaking your hands slightly. When saying embarrassed, picture yourself covering your face, avoiding eye contact. And when saying confident, stand tall, smile, and flip your hair like you own the moment. By engaging your body, emotions, and imagination, you're not just learning words, you're experiencing them. Now, it's time for you to put this into practice. I want you to think of a real moment in your life when you felt nervous, embarrassed, or relieved. Maybe it was before an important presentation. Maybe it was when you made a funny mistake at work. Write a short story about it using at least 3 new words from today's lesson. Then stand up, tell the story out loud, and act it out as you speak. Even better, share your story in the comments below. I'll be reading them and giving feedback. So, what did we just learn? The key to remembering English words is not by forcing them into your brain, but by making them a real part of your experience. Stories help create emotional connections to words, and when you add actions and expressions, they become impossible to forget. From now on, don't just read words, live them. And once you start learning this way, you'll never go back. Let's keep going. Now that we've seen how powerful stories can be for learning vocabulary, let's take it a step further. Because if you really want to make English words stick, you need to connect them to something even stronger, your emotions. Think about this. Do you remember the last time you felt extremely happy? Or maybe the last time you were embarrassed? Those moments don't just fade away, do they? That's because when emotions are involved, your brain locks in the memory. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the memory. And that's exactly what we're going to use to master English vocabulary. Let's try it with a simple example. Imagine you're about to give a big presentation at work or school. Your heart is racing, your palms are sweaty, and you keep running through your notes in your head. That feeling? That's nervousness. You don't even need to memorize the word nervous because you can feel it. Now, instead of just reading nervous equals anxious before an event, let's make it real. Right now, wherever you are, sit up straight, take a deep breath, and imagine you're about to speak in front of 500 people. Your hands shake, your stomach tightens. Say it out loud. I'm so nervous. See? You're not just learning the word, you're experiencing it. Now let's take another emotion, embarrassment. Think of a time when you did something awkward in front of other people. Maybe you tripped on the sidewalk, mispronounced a word, or spilled food on yourself. That hot feeling rising in your face, your urge to disappear, that's embarrassing. Now don't just read the word, act it out. Cover your face with your hands, shake your head, and say, "Oh no, this is so embarrassing." The more your body and voice get involved, the more natural the word feels. Now, let's tie these emotions into a mini story. Meet Jake. Jake has been nervous all day because tonight is a big night. He's meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time. He wants to make a great impression, so he chooses his best outfit, practices polite small talk, and even researches their favorite hobbies. But when he finally arrives at the restaurant, disaster strikes. As he sits down, his elbow knocks over a full glass of water, and it spills all over the table. The room goes silent. Jake's face turns red. He is so embarrassed. He wants to run away. But then, instead of making things worse, he takes a deep breath, laughs, and says, "Well, I guess that's one way to break the ice." The parents laugh too, and suddenly the awkward moment disappears. By the end of the dinner, Jake feels completely confident. He tells jokes, shares stories, and realizes there was nothing to be nervous about in the first place. So let's break it down. Nervous. Before the dinner, Jake was nervous, imagining all the ways he could mess up. Embarrassed. When he spilled the water, he felt that hot wave of shame. Confident. After laughing it off, he relaxed and felt comfortable again. These words now have a story behind them, and that means they're locked into your memory in a way that vocabulary lists never could. Now it's your turn. Think of a time in your life when you felt nervous, embarrassed, or confident. Maybe it was before an important test. Maybe it was when you accidentally said something silly in front of your crush. Maybe it was when you finally nailed a difficult challenge and felt like a winner. Whatever it is, tell that story out loud in English using those 3 words. And don't just say the words, act them out. Show your nervousness with shaky hands. Show your embarrassment by covering your face. Show your confidence by standing tall and smiling. Here's the truth. If you only read words, you'll forget them. If you feel them, you'll remember them forever. That's how you make English part of your life, not just something you study. So, are you ready to make your vocabulary unforgettable? Let's keep going. Now that you've seen how stories and emotions can transform the way you learn English, it's time for the final step, bringing English into your daily life. Because here's the truth. If you only practice English when you sit down with a textbook, you're never going to become fluent. But if you make English part of your everyday experiences, if you connect it to the way you think, move, and feel, then it stops being something you study and starts being something you live. So how do you do that? The answer is simple. Associate every new English word with an action, an emotion, or a personal experience. Let's say you learn the word exhausted, completely tired. You could just repeat it a few times and hope it sticks, but by tomorrow, you'll probably forget it. Instead, try this. The next time you come home from work or finish a tough workout, drop onto your couch, throw your arms up dramatically, and say out loud, "I'm exhausted." The more exaggerated you are, the better you'll remember it. Or let's say you're learning the word delicious. The next time you eat something amazing, whether it's a slice of pizza, a piece of chocolate, or your favorite home-cooked meal, pause for a second, close your eyes, smile, and say, "Mmm, this is delicious." Suddenly, the word isn't just a piece of information. It's connected to a real feeling, a real moment in your life. And that's the kind of learning that sticks. Another way to integrate English into your life is to narrate your day in English. You don't need to be in an English-speaking country to think in English. Start small. When you wake up, instead of saying, "I need coffee" in your native language, say it in English. When you're walking down the street, describe what you see in your head. The sky is cloudy today. If you're feeling tired, say to yourself, "I need a break." This might feel strange at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And before you know it, you're not just learning English, you're living in it. Here's another powerful trick. Use English to express real emotions. If you're frustrated, instead of complaining in your native language, say it in English. Ah, this is so annoying. If something surprises you, react in English. Wow, I can't believe it. When you start using English in moments of strong emotion, your brain will lock those phrases in without you even realizing it. And finally, make speaking English fun. Don't just memorize phrases. Act them out. If you're learning the phrase, "I don't know," don't just say it in a flat voice. Shrug your shoulders, raise your eyebrows, and say, "I don't know." If you're learning, "I'm so excited," don't just repeat it. Jump up, wave your arms, smile like you mean it. The more your body gets involved, the faster your brain will remember. At the end of the day, learning English isn't about studying harder. It's about making the language part of who you are. It's about turning every new word into an experience. And when you do that, fluency isn't something far away. It's something that starts happening right now in your daily life. So here's your challenge. Today, pick 5 words or phrases from this video and find a way to act them out, connect them to a real emotion, or use them in your daily routine. And if you really want to make it stick, share your experience in the comments. What words did you practice? How did you bring them to life? I'll be reading and replying. This is how you stop learning English and start living it. So go out there, try this method today, and watch how fast your English improves. Let's keep going.